Okay, look out.
So to use some kind of different trick.
This one? Okay, look at me. Every time I say look at the golden notes, if you will look, your memory eventually will match the notes, and it'll be much more solid. You'll literally be taking the test, and you'll picture exactly what you need to see on the golden notes. It's a limit problem. So I go to the golden notes, I go right to this box, right here. It says, is x approaching infinity? It is not. Skip that step. Number 2, it says factor and divide. So let's look and see if we can factor and divide. I can factor from the numerator and I can factor from the denominator. I use good notation because I'm practicing for the FRQ, plus I'm trying to avoid mistakes on the multiple choice. So let's see, I can factor from the top an x squared. That would leave 5x squared plus 8. From the bottom, I can also factor an x squared. That would leave 3x squared minus 16. Questions to there? If you look at your golden notes, third step says check left and right limits. That means I try to figure out what's happening when the value of x is not 0, but extremely close. Well, this limit would look like this now. I can write it as 2 fractions being multiplied. It does not matter how close x gets to 0. X squared divided by x squared is going to be exactly 1. Because something divided by itself, other than 0, is always 1. As x gets really close to 0, this will become so much smaller than 8 that the numerator is going to look like 8. The denominator is going to look like negative 16. I've got it. When you have an x coordinate that isn't 0 but close, this is the value of this formula. If x were exactly 0, the value of the formula would be undefined. But we're not asking for that. We're asking for what happens when x is close to 0. Questions about anything? Please.
So if it were like when x is equal to 0, would you non-existent, or would there be a different option that would say undefined?
Point for that. Mark it down. They will use the word undefined rather than non-existent. But I've never seen them use the words interchangeably, so I don't really stress about it. It's like if they had asked me to find f of 0, I'm just looking for whatever word reflects the idea that I can't find it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Perfect. Other questions? Okay. Another purpose of the practice test is to get you better and better at identifying priority. Like, what problem should you say, I have got to find a way to make sure I never lose this point? Versus, hey, this other problem, it's different, it's hard, it's kind of weird, it's unusual, it's not tested commonly. I'm going to not worry about that right now. I'm going to wait till like end of April. And when I've got all the easy and medium stuff down cold, I'm going to try and get better at the hard stuff, but prioritize. So for example, a limit question, high priority. They don't have that many, but they're not usually that hard. So I want to get the limit points. So I'm going to say it back to you, point. Mark down 2 actually. If what I say back doesn't make sense, keep talking. So are you okay that the whole idea here is to understand what's happening to this formula when the x that we plug in is really, really close to 0? Are you okay that no matter how small x becomes, this will always be precisely and exactly 1? Okay, when x is small, I've got 2 terms adding here. You see it? Yeah, when the x is really small, the first of the 2 terms, it's going to be something, but 8.00000000001, pretty darn close to 8. That answer your question? Okay. Anybody else? we have a different question that we can talk about that's going to help you get better. Please.
Number 13 on this thing.
Yeah, you can just tell me the number. It's really easy to tell because all of the non-calculator